Hotep, my name is John Walter McLean, the 4th. Brothers and sisters, and welcome to the 5th floor of the ORNZ Pan-African Black Facts and Wax Museum. On this floor we will learn about the Tuskegee Airmen, who were a group of primarily African American military pilots, fighter and bomber, and airmen who fought in World War II. They formed the 332d Expeditionary Operations Group and the 477th Bombardment Group of the United States Army Air Forces. The name also applies to the navigators, bombardiers, mechanics, instructors, crew chiefs, nurses, cooks, and other support personnel. All black military pilots who trained in the United States trained at Griel Field, Kennedy Field, Moton Field, Shorter Field, and the Tuskegee Army Air Fields. They were educated at the Tuskegee Institute, now Tuskegee University, located near Tuskegee, Alabama. Of the 922 pilots, 5 were Haitians from the Haitian Air Force and 1 pilot was from Trinidad. It also included a Hispanic or Latino airman born in the Dominican Republic. The 99th Pursuit Squadron, later the 99th Fighter Squadron, was the first black flying squadron, and the first to deploy overseas, to North Africa in April 1943, and later to Sicily and other parts of Italy. The 332nd Fighter Group, which originally included the 100th, 301st and 302nd Fighter Squadrons, was the first black flying group. It deployed to Italy in early 1944. Although the 477th Bombardment Group trained with North American B-25 Mitchell bombers, they never served in combat. In June 1944, the 332nd Fighter Group began flying heavy bomber escort missions and, in July 1944, with the addition of the 99th Fighter Squadron, it had 4 fighter squadrons. The 99th Fighter Squadron was initially equipped with Curtiss P-40 Warhawk fighter bomber aircraft. The 332nd Fighter Group and its 100th, 301st and 302nd Fighter Squadrons were equipped for initial combat missions with Bell P-39 Airacobras, March 1944, later with Republic P-47 Thunderbolts, June to July 1944, and finally with the aircraft with which they became most commonly associated, the North American P-51 Mustang, July 1944. When the pilots of the 332nd Fighter Group painted the tails of their P-47s red, the nickname Red Tails was coined. The red markings that distinguished the Tuskegee Airmen included red bands on the noses of P-51s as well as a red rudder. The P-51B and D Mustangs flew with similar color schemes, with red propeller spinners, yellow wing bands and all red tail surfaces. The Tuskegee Airmen were the first African American military aviators in the United States Armed Forces. During World War II, black Americans in many U.S. states were still subject to the Jim Crow laws, and the American military was racially segregated, as was much of the federal government. The Tuskegee Airmen were subjected to discrimination, both within and outside of the Army.